Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and a new Subnautica talk. With the impending release of Subnautica 3, as we're currently calling it, since the title is still unknown, we've been waiting for some real details and news, but you might be wondering why this sudden interest now. Well, actually, I've been a fan of the game since early access for the original game. I followed the main updates back when there was literally nothing and they just put in a new area or a proper new biome, but often it was still completely empty. These were the days before there was any story in that game at all. So while I've been a fan of the games for years, it's actually Josh and Cotton who just got into the games, and they've now completed their full playthrough, the series they did for both Subnautica and now Below Zero, which I strongly recommend if you haven't checked it out. But either way, as they've both finished the games now, I've been asked to look into Subnautica 3 and keep an eye on any new news. So what is the Subnautica 3 news? Well, we do have some new confirmations since last time. We know that it is officially in dev, and we know a few more details around that. The initial reveals were completely without fanfare. In fact, all of them haven't really been hyped up that much. It's been kind of a casual acknowledgement from the Subnautica team eventually. Our first reveal came all the way back in 2022 though. It was simply that Unknown Worlds, who developed the series, stated that they're looking for a senior narrative designer to, quote, help shape the next game in the Subnautica universe. And so that's the term we've seen thrown around a lot at this point, the Subnautica universe. So very clearly, the events and story of both Subnautica and Below Zero are going to be relevant to the big picture story they're telling. It's just a question of, with those events, are we going to be going somewhere new rather than moving around one planet? But anyway, that job listing was all about working with different groups within the team to help write and design the game narrative. The idea, of course, is to tell a story using in-game mechanics and what they have available. A story that fits with the world and what we can do within that as a game. But that was our first reveal, and it gave us the confidence to say, yeah, Subnautica 3 is coming. It's just that we had no idea, of the setting, the story, or even the actual name. Just that they're actually working on the next one, and that they now view it as a sort of universe of games. That job listing happened essentially 2 years ago though, so you might imagine there's been some big progress with the game since then, and there is, and they just sort of announced it. And literally, while I made my first Subnautica 3 video, they had another ridiculous casual reveal. The actual release of the game is planned for 2025. Is this a full release or early access? It seems like it was almost an unintentional reveal though, because this information came via the Crafton report for 2023 quarter 3. These reports serve as important updates for investors. It lets the investors know the current plans, earnings, expectations, and reasoning. This is the type of stuff that could be vital for an investor so they can make informed decisions about that investment. Should they pull out, maintain, maybe invest further? And obviously they want to encourage people to invest further as much as possible. Within this report then, we had some important plans revealed to encourage further investment, such as the literal timeline for Subnautica 3's release. During their scaled up plans for game development, they also showed the plans for 2024 and 2026 releases, and here is where they claim that the next Subnautica will release in 2025, which certainly seems like a full release, but my opinion has changed on that now. That would mean roughly 4 years of development, but obviously early access plays a huge role in the development of these games. As I said in the introduction, I've been following Subnautica since the original alpha states, and I've seen how long this process would normally take. When we look back at the Subnautica release, we can see it came out late 2014, with Below Zero releasing 5 years later in 2019. But that's not really what happened. The 2014 version of Subnautica was an unfinished game. A massive amount of development went on during its early access period. Loads of alien creatures were added. Tons of areas and biomes that didn't exist initially were added over time, layering it around a sort of circle and then going deep within the planet. Tons of new mechanics and technology actually changed the way the gameplay ended up going, that kind of formula. And a lot of the time I played early access, there wasn't even a story added until much later. So it wasn't until 2018 that Subnautica truly released as a completed, finished game. The result was a very memorable experience for me, having played through the game so many times in so many different states. Subnautica to me seemed like something that was just a cool idea that they made, and then it became bigger than they expected. The popularity, the amount of people that bought into the early access, that meant they ended up having a lot more budget than maybe they expected, and maybe it allowed them to go harder and go for more ideas, eventually becoming that unique, pretty brilliant game that we have today. I think that's reflected really well when you look at Below Zero, the sequel, and how a lot of people are mixed on that one. The general opinion is that while Below Zero is fun and cool and a real progression of what the devs can do and how they can tell a story, it did lose a lot of that original heart. That true unknown feeling was somewhat gone. The game was much more on tracks that you simply follow in terms of that story compared to the true chaos of whatever direction you want to go in Subnautica. You're of course following a set character in Below Zero, and her story story with the fantastic Alan, who, to be fair, steals the show. He's a fantastic character. I actually enjoyed Below Zero and its story more than Subnautica because it was, a properly told story. But it was the gameplay and the experience overall that wasn't as innovative and shorter than I would have liked. The setting and big moments were great, but the game just had a much smaller scale, and so of course it was much shorter to play through. And I think that's the key difference there, that word, play through. Rather than being a sandbox adventure that's largely your own, you're playing a set character, her story, they want you to go to A, B, C, and D, and that's the game. Now, Below Zero was technically playable in 2019, only a year after the full release of Subnautica. But again, it had its own early access period, releasing in full back in 2021, so only 2 years compared to the double of that with Subnautica's early access. It's no wonder that it was much shorter and, well, yeah, on tracks. In any case, I predicted that with that 5-year gap between Subnautica's early access and Below Zero's early access, we'd likely have an early access again for Subnautica 3. Probably will see that in 2024. That was based on previous timelines and logic, but not, concrete information. That proved to be relatively accurate because as of mid-December, we had another casual, massive reveal. Not like a trailer, a teaser, or some big marketing thing. What we got was a tweet. This tweet came from the official Subnautica Twitter account, and it followed up on the whole craft and report reveal that happened for the 2025 release. It stated, "Your recent excitement for the next game in the Subnautica universe has been infectious. While we're not quite ready to surface more info, keep watching this space. We'll share more about our early access plans in 2024. So there you have it. They acknowledged the craft and leak and confirmed that we're going to have big news and soon. Further, they've confirmed that early access is happening for Subnautica 3. They're not just going to release the game. This is going to continue that model of development. This suggests that they're going to talk about the plans for early access in 2024. And the wording made a lot of people think this means 100% the game is coming 2024, which seems to be an error which they clarify on. Either way, while they're clearly not ready to announce or reveal anything yet, we're not far away from when they will be. Maybe we're finally going to get some teasers, trailers, or even an image to look at. It'd be great if we had some actual story and setting context. What do they mean by Subnautica Universe? Where are we going? What are we doing? Who are we playing? The story of Below Zero? How is that going to be relevant? There's a lot of questions about whether we're actually going to have a more original Subnautica experience, that's a sandbox adventure, or is it going to be on a tracks sort of story game again? But whatever way they go, the hype is huge. A little tweet like this had 1.3 million views. Pretty exciting. And they followed up on this. Once again, it seems they weren't expecting the amount of attention that they got. This follow-up quote tweet expressed how shocked they are by that massive response, and then they clarified what they meant. They stated, clearly, they will be sharing their plans in 2024. Specifically saying that early access is going to need longer development, as they call it the fabricator. This says to me that we're definitely getting big Subnautica 3 news in 2024, but it's unlikely that we're going to have a playable version of the game, early access or no, accessible in 2024. Which is a real shame, but of course it's better the game is functional, isn't it? My hope isn't completely dead. The Crafton report stated release in 2025. It's just a question of if they mean early access 2025 or full release. But that brings us to the end of this talk. That's the official information we have, the 3 main official events that happened for the game, the Subnautica universe concept revealed, the release being planned for 2025, be that early access or full release, and we're going to get some serious info, finally, in 2024, undoubtedly. What do you think then? Early access 2024, release 2025, or more likely, early access 2025, and who knows when we get that full release. It's nice to have something to think about and talk about though, some official information, some proper acknowledgement, and the fact that we now know for sure we are getting Subnautica, more Subnautica from this awesome team. If you guys have any more thoughts or details you want to talk about, let us know in the comments. It always makes for fun discussion, but for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.